Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I want to thank all that have remained to this stage. We have formally completed the awards. Now we just want to share with you our roadmap or what we're intending to focus on as OGTAN over the next 2 years. You know, when this new executive came into office sometime in May, we were bombarded with a lot of data, a lot of information, and we said to ourselves, what should be our priorities over the next 2 years? So we started as an ESCO to begin to articulate what we should be focusing on to help us do a number of things. One, to help us achieve the mandate of OGTAN, our vision and mission of OGTAN, and also ensure that we accelerate the capacity building gap that existed within the Nigerian oil and gas industry. So we said to ourselves, let's start up with a strategic workshop, a workshop where we as ESCO retire to a peaceful location, a quiet location, to deeply consider and determine what should be our priorities. That strategy workshop was for 2 days at the Movenpick Hotel, and as ESCO, we just completed that workshop. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is still work in progress, but it's the emerging strategic plan for OGTAN over the next 2 years. We invited to that workshop a number of stakeholders. We invited members of OGTAN that were not ESCO members to join us in that retreat. We also invited certain third parties, some members of PETAN, to also join us to discuss and help us shape what will be our strategic priorities over the next 2 years. And as I mentioned, we had access to a lot of data. The first data we did was that we looked at the OGTAN mandate. Many of you who have been long in the industry, we know that OGTAN has a 15-point mandate, which basically is defining why we were set up, what the government and our sponsor, NCDMP, wants us to achieve as OGTAN. So we took this 15-point agenda and assessed ourselves against these 15 points to see how we were doing in the delivery of this point. So the outcome of that assessment formed a bit of what you are going to be seeing in a few minutes. The second thing we did was to say, look, what do our stakeholders think of us? Why do our stakeholders view us the way they view us? We identified 2 broad categories of stakeholders. We identified the internal stakeholders, the external stakeholders, which are our members. What's the perception of our members of OGTAN? How do we fix that perception? So that was another very important consideration in the course of shaping and determining this strategic plan. And the third thing we considered, which was also pretty critical, was our stakeholders. What do our stakeholders want of OGTAN? How are we fulfilling the vision, the needs of our stakeholders? So we also considered that, identify where that gap was, and then in planning our strategic plan, we basically put measures in place on how we can bridge the gap that existed currently. We kind of did a SWOT. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is an evolving thing, and our plan is to do what? To determine out of this series of plans what we were going to do over the next 12 months. And once we take what we're going to do in the next 12 months, we then quarterize it into quarters to determine what will be our priorities in quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. So there are 7 strategic pillars upon which the OGTAN strategic plan is based on. And I'm going to be sharing that in a few minutes. Strategic partnership and affiliations. It was clear to us that we needed to establish, sustain, or redefine some of the affiliations and partnership agreements that we have. There are a few dimensions to that. One is we have existing partnerships. How well are those partnerships working? There are partnerships that we need that we currently don't have. So how are we going to approach and secure those partnerships? So getting the right kind of partnerships and affiliations were considered critical. And we're going to show you what we're doing around that. The second was upholding international training standards. So these days, you don't have Nigerian standard anymore. You don't have local standards anymore. We have global standards. How well are we as OGTAN playing at the global level in terms of training standards and methodologies? You've heard of the OGTAN ATSP, which is an attempt for us to really standardize what we do in terms of our methodologies, our approaches to training and development. So we also consider that as a priority, as a strategic focus for OGTAN. The third is strengthening advocacy in driving global recognition. A lot of people don't know of OGTAN. Many organizations don't know of OGTAN, including big players in the oil and gas industry. When you mention OGTAN to them sometimes, OGTAN, what exactly are you? So we need to advocate more to improve the local and international recognition for OGTAN. I'd like to talk about certification and accreditation. Recently, MBT endorsed or approved OGTAN as a certificate awarding body. For us, that is a major game changer. We deserve a round of applause for that. There was a study that was done by one of the OGTAN members to try and assess how much the country was paying for international certifications, across several disciplines. And it was a huge sum of money. So our plan is to say, how do we domesticate and domiciliate some of these certificates? We understand the challenges of acceptance, challenges of standards, but we are committed to doing what? Bridging those challenges, achieving what is required to make the OGTAN certificates acceptable within the industry. Next is enhancing member value, and business growth. Again, this is a consistent message that we get from our members, telling us that what is the value proposition for being a member of OGTAN? What do I get from being a member of OGTAN? We hear you. And it's our plan as the current ESCO to see how we can enhance the value members derive from their membership of OGTAN. And that is a commitment we're making to you, and you're going to see some of the measures we are putting in place to enhance that value so that our members can grow and flourish. Next is expanding OGTAN Energy Consult. This was a baby of the president before me, Mazi. OGTAN is a not-for-profit organization, so we can't earn money. We can't do business for profit reasons. So we've created OECL as a vehicle to drive OGTAN commercialization of the services, e.g. certification. Indeed, thank you very much. The certification and contribution to body of knowledge has a lot of potential to generate revenue for OGTAN. So OECL will be driving that. In addition, we'll also function in capacity building area where our members are currently not covering. So there is quite a bit of opportunity for revenue earning opportunities here. And then finally is driving financial viability. The biggest problem we have as OGTAN is funding. We simply don't have enough funds to meet the commitments that we want to undertake. We know what to do, but sometimes we are constrained by finances. So we have put measures in place to ensure that OGTAN becomes financially independent, that we don't go cap in hand asking for stakeholders and some sponsors to give us resources to carry out what legitimately should be our bread and butter. So that's where we are. So position OGTAN as a globally connected training body through robust partnerships. I already mentioned that there are partnerships that exist and there are partnerships we want to create. So we're defining those partnerships now, and in the next coming weeks, we are going to be seeing OGTAN being part of a lot of MOUs. I can give you an example of a number of MOUs. Recently, we commenced discussion, and I think it's at very advanced stages, to sign an MOU between Cypher Crescent and Triple Helix with OGTAN to accelerate the development of a software that will enhance surface engineering training for young professionals in Nigerian universities. So for me, those are the kind of value-adding activities that we as OGTAN are going to be taking on. Establish MOUs with international training organizations and certification bodies. Also establish MOUs with Nigerian universities and polytechnics to bridge academic industry training gaps. And then thirdly, facilitate knowledge transfer and enhance national expertise, not local expertise. Certification and accreditation we've already discussed, which are aimed to consolidate OGTAN's role as a recognized certificate awarding body. We are aware of the challenges to make this happen, but we are committed to making it happen. Develop standard operating procedures to ensure that there's quality assurance in the mechanisms of certification. So one of the quickest ways to discredit these certificates is if we don't have proper processes in place that ensures that only deserving curricula actually get certified. Expand certification scope beyond training to include accreditation of trainers and facilities. This is pretty important, that it's not just good to have an outstanding, excellent curricula, but who are the people delivering this curriculum? Do they have the wherewithal? Do they have the track record, the breadth and depth of skill to be able to be faculties for this curricula? So we're also going to be accrediting facilities and accrediting trainers. Then secure relevant government regulatory accreditations and approvals as may be required. Upholding international training standards, I already mentioned, in line with the mission of OGTAN, we want to ensure highest training standards. And our ATSP has already charted the path that enables us to achieve that. We want to actively promote integration of modern learning facilities, high-grading learning curricula, and ensuring. Part of what we've done, we set up a small committee to redefine the future of learning. Yeah, so what does learning mean? How will learning look like in another 5 to 10 years? And that committee will help us bring the future into the decisions we are making today. So we're still waiting. They have another 2 weeks to submit their report. Enhancing member value proposition. The commercial well-being of our members is paramount and is a priority to us. We will revitalize OGTAN as a proactive forum for exchange of ideas and information that translates into business opportunities. We will liaise with critical stakeholders. We will, on behalf of our staff, negotiate, and create opportunities that will ensure that our staff have the critical mass of jobs required for them to flourish. Strengthen advocacy and drive national and global recognition. Again, this is where our First Lady, Lady Fumi Obwe, has a big role to play. And she's already commenced work in that area. For me, thank you very much for all you're doing in advocacy and improving global recognition, national recognition for OGTAN. Expansion of OGTAN Energy Consult. Again, OGTAN Energy Consult is a member OGTAN collaboration arrangement where the OECL becomes the commercial vehicle for actualizing the financial independence of OGTAN, and at the same time creates an opportunity for our members to invest so that revenues from the OECL will be shared between members who have invested and OGTAN. So we've established the modalities to making that happen, and I believe any member who has the capacity to invest, I very much encourage you to please invest. Because in a few years, this is going to be a huge money spinner. I'm making this publicly. So nobody comes back in a few years to say, no, nobody informed me about OECL. You still have opportunity to invest in OECL today. OECL shall scale consultancy to include training needs analysis, curriculum development, project-based training, where our members, the plan is for OECL not to compete with members. And that is a cardinal point for us. Build a pool of SMEs, faculty, and develop commercial partnerships with national and international bodies. Drive financial viability. This is where a number of contentious issues may come through. Currently, for example, OGTAN charges 100,000 naira membership dues. And that 100,000 naira has been same for the last 12. That is not sustainable. So it is most likely that that membership dues will be revised and revised upwards. So these are some of the ways that we want to sustain financial viability of OGTAN. And we're also introducing a tiered membership cadre. So it's not just one category of members. We're going to have several categories of members where the dues paid by those categories of members will be different. It will be staggered in recognition of the potential of that category. But what is clear to us is that this agenda, this plan cannot be achieved by the ESCO alone. It can only be achieved through collaboration and collective effort of the entire National ESCO of OGTAN and members of the association. So we invite all members to please join hands with us, yeah, to lift OGTAN to greater heights. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.